Well, hey, Gundam Maniacs, welcome to the Gundam Explained show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, and joining me, Steven of Midnight Hatter. What's up, Steven?
How you doing, bud? Great week so far. How are you feeling?
Yeah, you know what? It has, because we had the finale of GQuuuuuX, right? And I think, didn't even your show last week, we talked a lot, and this week, about, like, we kind of really dived in with, like, critical analysis on that side.
I think so.
If you guys haven't watched or listened to Steven's podcast from yesterday, it's very entertaining.
But only if you've seen all of
GQuuuuuX,
or if you're not going to watch it at all, because obviously it's
like
very spoiler heavy.
No, yeah, exactly. I think I'm glad you. Yeah, I'm glad you added that, because it's about the whole series, what we've seen as a whole. It's very interesting. I'm going to have a review video go up, and there's also there's going to be a Gundam Explained, like, members GWatch podcast next week that's also going to talk about it. So stay tuned for that. If you are a member and you're interested in being on it, let me know. If you're a member, you would be in the Discord and all that. So a certain tier though, but hey, we don't need to get into that right now. I don't want to sell things, but so for today's show is going to be pretty cool, because you were asking, like, how's your week been? Pretty cool. It's like, yeah, like, I feel like we ended with GQuuuuuX. We had an awesome show yesterday, and then it's like the next day, okay, Kat is going to knock over things. The next day, Band-Aid was like, okay, guys, let's get GQuuuuuX out of the way. Okay, Hathaway. I almost feel, it almost seems like they were burying it to bring in Hathaway. I don't know.
Yeah. There's been a lot of huge announcements this week, right? Between the new countdown to content on G Generation Eternal. They announced that 3 this was over on the Bandai card game app, but they announced that 3 of the Bandai Cross Store locations are going to be carrying the Gundam card game sets. Now these ones are only in Japan, but as you guys know, there is a Bandai Cross Store now in New York. So shout out to Principality New York. You guys covered when they launched that store. Since that store now exists and we have Bandai Cross Stores that are carrying the Gundam card game in Japan, the likelihood that the New York Cross Store is going to be carrying Gundam card game stuff is very, very high. So,
and it's called Cross?
It's the Bandai Cross Store. I don't know why it's called that, but yeah, I mean, they carry model kits, they carry all kinds of anime goodies that are related to Bandai properties. So
that's cool. Because I remember seeing that from Principality, New York, but I just thought, oh, there we go, New York, another store they get.
There's another store they get that. Yeah, screw DFW, am I right?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because luckily for me, August 10th, I made that up. It's beginning of August. The Gundam base is actually going to be at the Hobby Town. Not the one nearest to me, but it's a 20-30 minute drive, which is not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah,
not bad by Texas standards. Let me rephrase it, because I was going to say there's going to be a Gundam base near me. It's going to be at the Virginia Beach, which is like half an hour to an hour in Virginia standards, which is like that's a terrible drive. Because
there's that highway, that elusive highway that I keep hearing about that I never get to see. The corridor, right? You guys call it a corridor or something?
Anything called a corridor, that spells trouble. You don't.
I know, right? It's like, I don't want to be in the corridor. What the heck? So, okay, yeah. The Eternal news also, that it's cool that we're getting the.
They had like a whole roadmap, of content coming out for the next few months.
Wait, more than just the Destiny and CCA?
So Destiny, CCA, Thunderbolt.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. That's lots of good stuff coming that way.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then, and you know what? There's going to be more news we're going to cover here shortly, but just to let you guys know, we'll also talk about GQuuuuuX, more just kind of quickly recapping what Steven and I thought, but then I kind of want to shift it into what is the meaning of what we just saw, and how would Tomino feel based on, like, what he expects, from fans, how sometimes he'll criticize the fan, but then I have a comment about that too.
Very cool.
So cool stuff. And then if we get time for it, and I hope we do, you have an awesome tweet out there that actually I'm going to put in. I'll just throw it in, because I think everyone should.
It was a fun bear a little bit.
Well, Maybe, but also at the same time, I feel like that's just a fun activity. Yeah, I guess because it's Twitter, someone's going to complain about something like me seeing a F91 like that and a victory like that. It's like, okay, it's on.
But you know what? What I love about this format is it only being yes or no. Because I think all of us as Gundam fans, we can all like say on a spectrum, like, oh, this is a 10, that's a 7, this is a 4. There's all these different spectrums. But if you were to really boil it down to a yes or no, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I like that. Yeah, because I feel like once you get that done, then you can take some groupings and then have a deeper analysis. And I think we should do that. When we talked about this yesterday on your show, I think doing an F91 thing. So maybe we talk about F91. And then choose something that you like that I don't. Which I'm sure there's something in here like something. Yeah, actually, let me. Oh wait, wrong button. Let me just share real quick.
Replies to that tweet was in fact that I'm a professional hater. Like, there's a lot more that I dislike.
oh, people already replying. Oh, Ultronymous. Oh, yes, that's the one I wanted to talk to you about. We won't do it now. That's going to be some special content. But your thoughts on 8th MS Team, because that's interesting. Because I kind of feel the same way, I think, as you. So that
really,
might be, yeah. Ooh, okay. I tend to forget about the series in general, but
that's like the death knell of anything. Yeah. Like if you don't think of it, and this is a perfect example. I almost forgot Unicorn.
Yeah, I saw UC. I'm like, what's UC? Universal Century? What the? Oh, Unicorn. Yep. So that's funny. You almost forgot it. And I can see why you would forget Unicorn, because it's like a fantastical side story. Whereas even, that MS Team, it's literally a side story of characters with no noses because they decided to follow Seed. Oh my. No, anyway, guys, that is in the chat. I think that would be fun to reply to. And we might do it here live in a little bit.
Tear it apart. Ratio me.
Yeah. And actually, while we're here, let's then go through the different news items.
Yeah.
And actually, thanks to GundamKitsCollection.com, because like I'll usually grab an article or two, but this had like everything. So shout out.
There have been a lot of huge Gunpla announcements.
I know.
Particularly Gundam Sentinel.
What? Then I didn't see that.
We'll get into it, I'm sure.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, because this is the Gunpla lineup for 2025. So Bakata's Gelgoog, which, by the way, I forgot to talk about what I got this week. So let me just do that real quick. And yeah, I got Sugai's Gelgoog. So this should be a fun build. And what's funny is I haven't even done the video review of this yet. It's similar to like forgetting about 08 MS Team. I just forgot I built this, but I really want to review it. It's, and then this one's pretty cool. I think I want to do it live on stream. It's just the entry grade, but this is that new, what do they call it? It's RX-78 too, but with the feather system. Oh, I forget what the backpack is called. Anyway, these are super cheap in Japan, even the shipping. Well, I combined shipping, but this is probably a fun, easy build,
Yeah. And entry grades, 30 minutes tops.
Yeah, it should be. It better be. Okay, so we got that Gelgoog. So this is cool, but it's one of those things where, and it is going to be, but if this was Char and blah, 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 but they are coming out with an SH figure art Char, but I just like action figures, and this is a model kit version. Those are fun, but that has a lot of accessories.
Yeah.
This is something I would expect.
One of those ones that I saw painted on Twitter. So like her skirt is one of those soft, like it's like the soft rubbery material.
Yeah.
And so somebody used like a vinyl paint to paint the belt on the skirt, which was pretty cool.
Oh, because I guess it's not on the skirt, or it's not painted.
Yeah, I mean it's like sculpted, but it's not painted. So if you wanted to have a black belt like in the image, you'd have to paint it. I think they might even have stickers for it, but like I mean, who's gonna put stickers on soft rubber?
Oh yeah, actually, good point. Wasn't there something recently we were talking with someone, or something about when painting on a softer material? Doesn't that sound familiar?
It sounds familiar. We were probably talking.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's cool. I don't know if I'd get it, but that's cool. And then there's the real grade Shining Gundam, which,
take it or leave it.
Yeah, I'd build it, but And then I don't know how big of a deal this is, but it's a Leo N.
This looks kind of silly with those giant shoulder pads, right? Like this does not look something legitimately in Gundam Wing. It looks more like almost like a build thing.
Yeah, because it says it's from dual
G-Unit?
story G Unit. Yeah, which
G-Unit is pretty silly.
There's a joke there with G Unit. I just don't know any of the songs that, you know.
Yeah. I would need time to write a rap for that.
Yeah. Okay, this is pretty cool. Avalanche Exia Dash. Like, how many Exias are there?
Dude, your guess is as good as mine.
Like, is this one of those where they're just forcing it to be a thing? Like F90?
Maybe, you know, one of the things that's interesting about like some of the AU suits is that they don't get as many of the goofy variants that you see in UC. So you don't get as many like full armor customs and like high mobility customs. And so on that level, yeah, I like that there exists something like a full armor Exia and things like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That is actually pretty cool to be able to have stuff like that, because I even have a real great Exia that I haven't built yet. I just need to do it. Okay, we've got, speaking of F90, we've got an F80 gun raid, which this type of stuff looks cool to me. Again, this, you know, this goes into that later UC era, even though it says F80, but it's like that.
But it's almost like suit.
Yeah, in like, but futuristic.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like how much I like Back to the Future 2, because of its idea of a wow, was that 2015? Yeah, 2015 that it takes place.
Yeah, 2015.
And we're 10 years away from that. Wow, think of when we're kids.
Still no hoverboards.
Yeah. And we got Jaws' 50th, and not a holographic, you know, Jaws. So, but that's kind of the thing when it comes to F91 Victory. And I think what helps is F91 is not a Char, Amuro, Xeon sort of legacy story. So it's almost like, oh yeah, this is the future. And for that, yeah. I like that. And then this Pluton Black. Not familiar with
some more Build Divers goodies.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
F91, look at that. But you know what? I have the master grade, but I don't have the extra parts. But I do have the metal build F91. And I have the extra parts on that, so I'm good.
Now, one F91 that I've seen that I really like is that 1/60th scale one.
Yeah.
Pixelly has that. And I got to see it in person and see like the crazy transforming gimmicks that it came with. I was like, that's pretty cool for the age of that kit.
Yeah, I think so. When I saw pictures of that, yeah, the proportions are what stood out.
Yeah.
All right, some more F90. We've got a Jagan Type D. Is just a reissue. GM Dominance, Philip Hughes Custom. Another GM Dominance. Gundam Estrella. Man, there's a lot of stuff coming out. But where's the Sentinel stuff?
Dude, there's a new master grade Gundam S Gundam.
Is it like it's not like a reissue or anything? It's
let me see. I could have sworn I saw all the rage about it.
Cool. Let me because after we talked about the transformation, and then I did a video about the transformation, which you guys haven't checked it out yet. I have a video where I
thought the whole reason you did that was because of the announcement.
No, which is funny because I was looking. Oh, I'd like to build it to get a closer look, but there's so many things. We'll find it later. So that was just some of the Gunpla stuff. Nothing really stood out to like, oh yes, I'm gonna buy that. But I think it's pretty cool, the selection of kits. So okay,
here's some good stuff.
Here's the other cool thing: Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway Part 2. The Sorcery of Nymph Circe, which I mean, unless that has something to do with the old novels, what kind of title is that?
Yeah, that is kind of a silly one, right? Now, I'm sure you read the Odyssey way back in the day, like way back in our high school days.
Right. Can't say I remember it, but there's fragments.
Circe was an interesting character, right? Like, So
That
the implication, right, would be that that Gigi is your Cersei character. So she is tempting Hathaway away from a path that he's supposed to be on.
Okay, so I'm glad you made that clear because I thought when it was saying nymph Cersei, or you're saying wait Cersei,
Cersei, yeah.
I thought that was a name of a character, but by by what you're saying, that's almost like explaining. Well, I mean, it explains kind of like the underlying character current, I guess.
Is that the name of the show? No,
but what's weird is that almost tells me, and I guess that's true. It's like I guess I'm just thinking about this stuff now. Really, the main part, the main thing of the story is Hathaway, right?
Yeah.
So what is going to be a lot of his struggles? It's going to be the ladies.
It would be, wouldn't it?
These new type guys. So that and they laid the foundation with characterization in the first one for it to be like that. So I can see this next one, going deeper into that. But I will say a part of me is almost tired / annoyed of the dude chasing the girl, even though she's trouble.
Well, it's like you said, Hathaway 1 does have this like James Bond movie vibe to it, where it's got like it's like a secret agent thriller. It's not like a typical Gundam movie. And so the idea that he would get caught up with a girl that gets him into trouble is fundamental Bond, right? Like that's the trope of the Bond girl that like gets James Bond into trouble, especially like the new Bond, right? Like I forget which one it is that has Eva Green in it, but like
the first one, Casino Royale, and then I think she popped up. I think it's flashbacks in the others to deepen the story.
So there you go.
It's funny though, because even when I watched, because I remember seeing Casino Royale when it first came out. I've always been a huge Bond fan. That was a big moment for me. I remember being in the theater seeing it, and to be honest, that plot line disappointed me so much because I felt Bond is above that. It's like I feel like the women get him into trouble until a certain point, and then he sort of, gets them in line. Not trying to sound sexist, but like if you look at, for instance, the Timothy Dalton Bonds, he's always been very caring for them, but he never let them necessarily
manipulate him.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the thing is like, because those Daniel Craig Bonds are supposed to be prequels to the Timothy Dalton, it's like the fact that there was a woman that got one over on James Bond is the reason that the Timothy Dalton Bond exists. I like that. Never again will I let a woman get that close to me, and that's why he always keeps them at arm's length for the rest of his life.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service, when at the end she gets shot. So it's like he's always dealing with this stuff. Anyway, so I guess the difference with Hathaway, well, no, it's not a difference because he's witnessed death at the hands almost of him being so into a girl, in Zeta or Shar's Counterattack.
Yeah. I mean, his girlfriend gets killed and then he kills Amuro's girlfriend. It's like,
well, and then so in Hathaway, I feel it made sense how they brought that part up. I would be disappointed if that's the main driving plot is him still attracted to her but not knowing what to do, and it's like, why? I feel like so much of what he's trying to do would be so much bigger than that unless they focus on the new type phenomenon more, which they haven't really, but they could. So
they could lean that way for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so I guess that's getting the negative parts out of the way, but really what I saw in the trailer looked great because it's shot, and you kind of brought up the James Bond aspect of the first movie, because to me, I see it like that. Yes, it might be animation, but to me, it seems more like an adult animation to just make a movie, and I get the same thing out of this trailer.
There are some really cinematic shots, like that shot of the mobile suit flying next to that ship. That is like such a Hollywood style film shot, and I hope that Jim Mickle is watching this like, that's okay, we need to do that in the Gundam movie. Like, perfect.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, there was even shots that had nothing to do with mobile suits, like looking up at the buildings when it was raining, and then a shot looking out like a window or something, which the art looked odd. I think it was at the very beginning, but it's fitting for a very beautiful looking animated piece. And I like it. And it's funny because sometimes I'll think about, look at Cuckoo's Doan's Island, look at Hathaway. Like, they both have that charming UC look, but Hathaway has evolved a bit. Like, I feel like old UC, or UC in general, except for the MS Team, has drawn characters to be detailed to a point so they are a character, right?
Yeah.
But then in the mid 90s or the 90s, they got out of that with like Seed and MS Team and some other stuff. But in Hathaway, they're full in, back into that, making sure that they're detailed. So for me as a viewer, I have more of that connection.
Yeah, I think that would be an interesting test, would be to take 5 characters from every Gundam show and crop just their eyes. And if you can tell the character by just their eyes, maybe even make them black and white so that you can't tell their hair color and like by their eyebrows. If you can tell the character by their eyes, then you know that it's good character design, right?
That's a really good point, because I think what I hear people joke about with Seed is it's just face swaps.
They just put different hairstyles on them. It's like paper dolls.
Yeah. But, okay, so I'm excited. Okay, the other thing, it said winter. It said the saga returns to the big screen next winter across Japan. Winter could be December, could be January.
Well, that was the interesting thing about the tweet, is that the tweet said this winter, but the video says next winter. So it's like, well, which winter is it? Because that is that's like 365 days of difference.
I know. That's a huge difference. Can you be clear? It's got to be, I think, because GQuuuuuX just ended, and then they do. It makes me think it's going to be. It makes me think it's going to be the end of the year, not January. Even though Freedom came out in January, and GQuuuuuX came out in January.
Ooh, that's a good call.
So,
but there was a lot more coming out at that time, right? Because with
Requiem for Vengeance was October.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't have an October drop this year.
Well, I'm wondering, do you think with the announcement of Hathaway right now means that is the next thing and there's nothing else?
I would say it has to be.
Okay. Yeah.
At least animation wise. Like, can you think of anything animation wise that they would announce between now and then?
No, I mean, unless they're giving us more details on, I think another thing has been like a unicorn sequel, right? Which you would hate, so I won't bring it up again. No, but also, haven't you heard like IBO sequels or something?
Yeah, we're coming up on like the IBO anniversary, so like obviously we are ripe for an IBO entry.
Okay,
but
I need to finish it.
We also didn't get anything Wing, and this is the Wing anniversary, so
yeah, that's a good point, actually. So, let's move on and we'll talk about Wing for a second. But I guess just to end, so cool. Shout out to those who were posting this in the Gundam Explained Discord. I had just stopped my Blue Gamer morning stream, started work, and I was like, well, I'll see what people are saying. And I was like, oh my God, made the video as fast as possible.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm super pumped. Okay.
To this day, your reaction to the first Hathaway trailer was like one of your top viewed videos on the channel, which I think is pretty cool.
I know that is pretty cool, and I don't know if it's because I had the Gigi the anime girl like front and center, or I wonder if just around that time, because that's why I wanted to make the channel, there wasn't a lot of that stuff, and I think it could be what it is. But anyway, so the Wing thing, yeah, you brought up how it's like a Wing anniversary. So in Call of Duty Mobile, I think I had brought up on your series, they're going to have the Wing Gundam. But then Ultronomus told me it's like a whole thing. Deathside, Freedom,
Zazabi.
Yeah, what the? And is there a Wing Gundam in here? I'm not actually seeing it.
I think it's just the Deathside.
Oh, Death, that's the Wing.
Yeah, from
Wing. Okay, yeah. I see. Which looks cool. Okay, so here's what's interesting. They came out with the skins a year or two ago on, normal Call of Duty. That was pretty cool. I haven't played Call of Duty Mobile, but I have this controller, because I don't know if I want to do touchscreen, but I have like this kind of gamepad thing to plug in, and I was trying to figure it out and I couldn't. But I was actually shocked and amazed how good Call of Duty looks and runs on mobile, and it's practically a different game, I think. And they might have done that on purpose, to build from the ground up, But apparently, so So listen to this. A brand new event. It's the spotlight feature of this crossover is Gundam Team Deathmatch, an all new limited time 4v4 multiplayer mode. Choose from specially designed Gundam themed operators like Ethan. I don't know, Reaper. Names of characters, I guess, in Call of Duty that I don't know. But battles take place on brand new third person map set in a futuristic space station where mobility is key. Use high-speed thruster dashes, vertical jumps, and mech-exclusive loadouts in a mode designed to evoke intense mobile suit duels. Post-match, enjoy exclusive operator animations, blah, blah. So this is way more than just a skin. It's almost like it's getting its own game mode. In fact, better than what they did with Fortnite. Because in Fortnite, it was just, you're just playing Fortnite, and then like there's like a turret that's a Gundam that you can be in and shoot from.
That was so lame.
Yeah, I know. But this third-person mech loadouts 4v4 and there's 4 Gundams, so like this could be cool. I'm definitely actually going to jump in and try to play it because I'm really curious what the gameplay would actually be like, since they're saying it's more mech based.
Wouldn't that be something if Call of Duty Mobile pulls off a better mech game than like any of the Bandai Namco games?
I would really be. I wonder if they have any gameplay here. Now they seem to have some. Wow, an animation for the CGI M of Call of Duty Mobile.
That's pretty dope.
Okay, then don't miss the U.S. Independence Day event starting July 4th. We're playing any mode can earn you patriotic calling card. Oh, okay. I thought maybe it'd be related to something Gundam, but hey. Anyone out there that tries this, post in the Gundam Explained Discord, like what you thought of it or how it, like, is it worth it? Because I'm really curious about that. Just because I don't see myself playing Call of Duty Mobile. I'm not really even playing Call of Duty. All right. But wait, Stephen, what about you? Now that you got a new phone.
I'd consider it.
You might.
Yeah.
Since you've pretty much 100%ed Eternal.
Exactly. Yeah, as long as they don't keep coming out with new content. I'm like, man, every time I'm thinking it's time to put down Eternal, they come out with something new.
Wait, and when do the new seed maps come? Monday. Okay.
CCA and Seed
That's
Destiny.
Really soon.
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot of Gundam
every day
content.
until then. Like I said, log in every day until then because they're giving out bonuses for that. Yeah.
So I just want to stop and kind of acknowledge we're getting a lot of cool Gundam content already. Like GQuuuuuX, just think of the mobile suits, Hathaway's coming, video game stuff. Pretty cool. Okay.
And even remakes of old stuff like Seed Battle Destiny.
Exactly. And that was so fun. You know what? It's sad when we were talking about things we forget. I totally forgot I played that game.
No.
I liked it though. But it is such a basic game. You know what I mean? It's fun, but it's basic. So okay. So this to me is another huge news item. Like, dude, today's crazy. This is the Metal Robot Spirits RX-78-2. This has never existed until now through GQuuuuuX. So here's a couple things I'm thinking. Is there anything on this release that would make it different than the RX-78-2 we all know? So far, I haven't noticed anything.
Well, no, it does actually have like 40% more pretentiousness. Is what I'm
I was wondering where you're going with that.
No, honestly, I think even Ollie Barter on Twitter was talking about like finally we get just an anime accurate RX-78 metal robot spirits. Like it's kind of something that we've always wanted, and like, I mean, not me personally because I don't collect the robot spirits, but like for those of you that do, this is like a great pickup. And at the end of the day, who cares what it's called? Who cares whether it's from GQuuuuuX or whether it's from the original series? It is a very like anime accurate figure.
And actually I'm trying to look up something real quick if I can see so I have the Robot Spirits Ver anime of the RX-78 too. It's not going to be here, is it? It might be on their main page. But anyway, they made different versions because they had different colored hands. There are some RX-78
That's the green hands.
Yeah, yeah. So I wonder, and I guess I'm not getting a good shot anyway, anywhere I should say, but or upcoming. Oh my gosh, this isn't Gundam related, but oh my gosh, look at this. Load now. A Jackie Chan action figure.
That's amazing.
Okay, and real quick, and this is actually SH Figure Arts. Can't wait. Oh, it's actually coming out real soon. I'm pretty sure I already pre-ordered it. Wow, wait, it comes out in a couple days? Okay, guys, I got to calm down. Did you happen to see the SH Figure Arts Cyclops from X-Men?
Yeah, looks fantastic.
Dude, I know.
It's specifically, it's not X-Men. It's Capcom versus Street. Yeah, so you get the light.
Which is funny because if I think back, like how much I liked, the X-Men animated series, I'd get the action figures, and then the other thing was when they would have their fighting games, the Capcom fighting games, and then Marvel's Capcom, like they're totally speaking to me with that release. Anyway, I guess to kind of go back to this, I am curious. Once I know there's more pictures of this out there, but I just want to look at things like the hands and see, okay, what are they doing? It's a little different. I noticed too because I did see other pictures on the elbow. There seems to be something. It's probably a connector point. It just seems very apparent. Or I wonder if it's going to be a different type of engineering. But dude, I'm just so glad this exists now, and it should have from the start.
Yeah, and it does have it has like an anime proportion to it. Like the shield, like you even see the shield is like has that bend and bowing to it, and like the chest has that like kind of arched shape. So it's a pretty cool figure, and if that's what you're looking for, because obviously some people prefer the more like mechanical, like
modernized,
engineered look of the RX-78-2. This is definitely like an anime RX-78-2.
Yeah, and one thing I will add also, how crazy I am about this is by looking at it, other than that connector part, it looks like it's just the same shell of the Ver-Anime. Just they probably have the metal parts, but I would think it is completely brand new, because they would do it for Dark 72, and I think that's it. Let's see. Oh yeah, that was revealed June 27th. Wait, what? Tamashii Nation has confirmed that full product details will be revealed on June. Okay, so tomorrow we'll get more information.
Oh, I was gonna say, so in the future.
Yeah, I was confused about so many things. Okay, let's move on real quick because there's some other Metal Robot Spirits. I don't think I'm going to spend too much time on this, but what I wanted to look at here, and it's actually the same with the high grade of the GQuuuuuX, is its Endymion version. What is it called? Endymion Unit Awakened.
Yeah, the Endymion.
Oh, is that how you say it?
Endymion, something
Endymion.
Like that. Okay. They talk about it in Gundam Seed, right? Like, isn't Mulaflaga the heart of Endymion?
Okay, yeah, because I think that's a word, like obviously. No, but I think that's a like a classical like character name or something. And that could be because, dude, Gundam will repeat stuff like Mercury as a character's last name in two different things. That doesn't make sense. And they came out around the same time. SD Gundam Battle Alliance, the main guy was something Hermes Mercury, and then we got Witch for Mercury with Celeste. Yeah, but so would you say? Within, and we're going to talk a little bit about GQuuuuuX here in a second, but this is almost like its second form, even though there's really not too much to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like the awakened version, if you were to like consider it like the Unicorn Gundam Destroy mode, right? Like that's
that would be its sort of level
way of looking at it.
Because I think the other thing the series was trying to do was introducing the G-Fred as if that was because it was more like a GQuuuuuX, but also I think they were leaning into Evangelion with that.
For sure. Yeah.
Anyway, that looks cool. And I really just brought these two up just because it's like, think of how they're leaning into the products here. They already have a high grade and metal robot of the GQuuuuuX. Now they're doing it with its Endymion or whatever you were trying to help me pronounce. Yeah, pretty cool. Something else GQuuuuuX related and some other crazy news is Battle Operation 2 today got the GQuuuuuX RX-78-2 and the GQuuuuuX, and that's awesome. The thing
now is it specifically the Omega Psychomu version, or is it like, does it transform? I haven't looked at this.
Yeah, that's a good question, because with the face there, let's see, the white Gundam. Let's see this. No, it doesn't really. It has the X boost activate by pressing the touchpad. Is that the okay? Temporarily boost.
Yeah, I figured
mobility.
they did something kind of like the exam system or something like that.
Yeah.
But the reason I ask is because in G Generation Eternal, they're two separate units. You have the Omega Psychomu version, and then you have the Ensign Xavier version. So
good point. So it could be, yeah. There's something. Okay. Anyway,
I mean, it would be cool to have, like, if the Omega Psychomu is like a raid and the standard is like a general. That would be kind of cool to have like different unit types based on the awakening mode.
Yeah, because with different weapons, they would be playing differently, and I think that's so. Here's the thing: I love GBO2. I just haven't played it forever because I've put in more time than I think my brain cares. Here's the thing: they've released so many cool suits that I would try to jump in and get, and I didn't. So then I don't play. I mean, if they could somehow make it where it's easy to at least go back and get Requiem for Vengeance suits, and then wait until, like, I feel like they're shooting themselves in the foot, even though they've been drawing this game out longer than any other game, I gotta say. And when it comes to like new content, like I wonder if there's this diminishing returns aspect that they're just like, we got whales. But I think they could counter the diminishing returns. And I'm just using myself as an example, but I feel like I would be playing GBO2 more if I could play the new suits more often. Even if I paid, but just didn't, whale,
Dude, that's why I really love the G Generation Eternal model, because it's like you look at something like the Stardust Memory event, where the only thing you had to do to get the Volwallo and the GP01 full burner is to just play the event.
Yeah.
Like, if you just played enough, you would eventually get enough to unlock both of them. That's it.
Yeah. Which I did, being someone that isn't playing as much as you. And I still,
See, yeah, I love that they basically created their own development trees for the specific events.
Yeah, I know. I love that too. When we were talking about that the other day, I love seeing development trees. And that reminds me of something else. So shout out to Zionic Shadow, which I've been meaning to talk to him again after this. But you got the shirt. But like a week ago, he messaged me. He's like, hey, you should check out War Robots Frontiers. And I mentioned this. I've been playing it every day.
Like,
yeah, I told you about it, right? Yeah. I will play maybe at least one mission or one game a day. I don't spend too much time on it, but it is super fun. And it actually has it where everything's available for you to use to build whatever you want. But until you unlock it or buy it, you can't take it into a game, but you can actually use it in a map and just have fun with it. So it's like you could build any mech combo you want and use it.
That's kind of cool.
But if you want to use it in game, like in a match, it's just you have to unlock it, which I think it has a very generous, now that I'm playing it a lot, it's a very generous unlock system, because in the way this game works is you will have a hangar of 6 mechs. One of them you only get based on your performance, but in some modes if you lose it, if you die, you don't get that mech anymore, and you just go to your next one. So you play, and they each fight differently. And then there's some regular modes that are just deathmatch. And I've been having so much fun because it feels like I'm in a mech. And for a free-to-play game, it's very generous. So I guess the takeaway from that is, talking about this GBO2 thing is, I wish, like you mentioned with events, make it an event where you're logging in every day, and then by the end of the 2 weeks, maybe you got something. But at the same time, you got tokens, and then you might top it off. I'm telling you, they are probably missing out on.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. That might be it. Okay, yeah, this kind of goes into what I wanted to talk about, because GQuuuuuX came and gone, and I still find it funny that like right after it's over, it's like, hey, Hathaway 2's gone. I love it. But in the past, Okay, before we get to Tomino, I'll just get on GQuuuuuuX. We talked a little bit about it, well, actually a lot about it on your show. You guys need to watch it. It's really good deep dive. But at the end of the day, for me, GQuuuuuuX doesn't have anything for me to think about.
Yeah.
And I usually don't partake into TVs or shows if there's not something it's wanting me to think about. GQuuuuuuX had that as a carrot on a stick because I was like, oh, they're talking about quantum physics in a way. They're using their own language, but they're talking quantum physics. They're talking about the other side. They're diving more into that new type consciousness. While they had fun, kind of schlocky, it's like a schlocky Gundam fest. At the end, nothing profound. Nothing. When I finished 0079, I was like, wow, that was tragic. Those characters were strong to go through that, even though it was just animation and someone wrote it. But it's like, man, that made me feel. Zeta,
even more so. Yeah,
I know. I can't believe they were able to just really double down on strong human emotion, makes you think about decisions you make in your life, what's going on in the world. And I would say they,
even Unicorn, like Unicorn does it.
Unicorn.
And so that should tell you is like even someone like me who doesn't like Unicorn sits there and sees like a scene like when Merida's walking Benager through the church and saying like, hey, like, not all of us were genocidal maniacs like Giran. Like some of us were just fighting for freedom legitimately. And like,
had the really the conversations that weren't always happening.
But yeah, no, I think it's so funny to see people online too trying to like do these mental gymnastics to try and make something important out of GQuuuuuuX.
Yeah. And I think I saw it in chat, Ultronimus might have mentioned it, where this is just a good vehicle to get some Gunpla because we see, like I was mentioning, metal robot spirits of the GQuuuuuuX and the GQuuuuuuX with the extra stuff, a high grade of that and with the extra stuff. Metal robot spirits of the red Gundam, metal robot spirits of the white Gundam, metal robot spirits. Like it seemed more like a vehicle for the product, which is okay. But historically, we know that Bandai or Sunrise is capable of better. And I think or not Oath MS Team because that's not true. Or in the Pocket, 0080 is a good example of that. That was a very short series, probably one of the most emotional and impactful. Think about that. I think about that all the time.
And least mecha focused. Like if you think about it, it has the fewest number of mobile suits in it. Like at least different models. You know what I mean?
And it just maximizes their use. And then it makes everything. Okay, this is another thing we talked about this. It's like the empty calories. All the fight scenes in War in the Pocket felt earned.
Yeah.
To the point where I would cry. Now GQuuuuuuuX, there's not one scene, not one fight scene that felt earned. Even Shalia Bull with the Kikoroga, whatever, like when that came in, it's like, oh sweet, but it's like, really, I guess it's really not.
The whole thing is just that meme, the Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh yeah,
there it is. Like
exactly.
And did you see he did the shark kick? Oh yeah, and then they did the Zeta thing where the shield blows up and he does that's wow.
And it's just interesting because then if I wanted to turn it around, I'm like, dude, if I was working at Kara's studio, I'd be like, okay, guys, we're just gonna do what we want to do. You know what I mean? Like if you were in that position, you had the funds, the resources. So it's like I can almost see, and it probably still works too, because the other thing about it is GQuuuuuuX plays more like scrolling through TikTok than like a Hathaway. So by that nature, there's a lot of the little like, oh, this and that and that and that. And so I'll buy this, I'll buy that. And then people are going to talk about like, the characters in which for Mercury, people still like to talk about because we never got full stories from them.
Yeah, man.
That's going to happen with these GQuuuuuuX characters. I really think as it goes forward, I think Machu's still going to get a lot of love. Neon, a lot, I think, because those are characters that had a happy ending, but we want to see more.
I mean, did they have a happy ending? Like, I don't even know, because at the end of the day, like, we never got clear motivations of what they wanted. Besides, I want to be a jellyfish and I want to go to Earth. And it's like, okay, well, you're on Earth, I guess. But like, didn't you also fall in love with Shuji? And like, aren't you sad that he's gone? Like,
nothing was resolved.
Yeah.
So when I say happy ending, I just mean it's like an open-ended, no one died. No one of any real like tragic oh my
and
god.
No one important was hurt.
Yeah. Especially if there's like 5 Lalas, I guess it doesn't matter, but
yeah, it's
but a couple other interesting things too, and we were talking about it on yours last night. I don't know if any new info about it has come up, but it's very interesting how even though they did that artwork that was amazing of the Gelgoog and the ARC-72 and the Elmith, they had a different outcome. And it seems like the motivation of Lala the whole time then was a different outcome than what any of us, I guess we were probably thinking CCA, assuming Lala could see Char's counterattack and that Amuro kills Char, but we still don't know that. It's almost like they made up something just so there could be a story.
Yeah, and a lot of it doesn't really resonate with, like, I know a lot of people have made a lot of what Amuro said, like, oh, Amuro manifested into the GQuuuuuX because he is supposed to be like the balance to what Lala is trying to do. And I'm like, but that doesn't even make sense, because if you think about what Lala said in Char's counterattack and in, of course, like 79, she told Amuro, like, I want to remain between you two forever. How does that resonate with what Lala from GQuuuuuX is? I just want to protect the man in the red suit. They don't line up. And so if you're going to say that, well, Amuro said this in CCA, so that means that that's what GQuuuuuX is about, then you have to incorporate what Lala says in CCA, which doesn't match with what Lala's motivations in GQuuuuuX are.
I'll throw in another wrench for the motivations that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Isn't it in Unicorn, her ghost and Char's ghost go to full frontal to be like, all right, it's time. So they had met each other in the other side and were happy. So GQuuuuuX was trying to say that didn't happen. Interesting.
That's and so I know that a lot of people have gotten offended by people calling GQuuuuuX fan fiction, and I'm going to continue to call it fan fiction because that's what it is. It is fans of Gundam that wrote some fiction. Yeah. But like, it really does feel the same way that Jeff Johns treated the Flash and the Green Lantern in the DC universe when he started writing those books, and he started retconning things to match what he wanted instead of what was already in the lexicon.
But so with that, did fans like it?
They loved it.
Oh, cool. But I guess because then the old Flash was so old, maybe it was that time where you could introduce that and then it works.
Exactly. When you think about, like, okay, so most people grew up with Barry Allen. Not a lot of people remember Jay Garrick. And so it's like, if you're going to retcon the Flash so that Barry Allen in essence creates Jay Garrick, then not many people care. But like, when you look at something like Gundam, where not enough time has passed for the fans of original Gundam to forget 0079, then you're not going to have that experience of people being like, oh yeah, I don't care if they retcon it,
Yeah.
And you have people on every side of every argument trying to wield Japanese fans as like a cudgel against other people. And they're like, hey, actually, Japanese fans love GQuuuuuX. I'm going to hit you with it. And
I hate that argument.
I'm like, dude, why would I even care what a random Japanese, like, first of all, you can find a Japanese account that's posting whatever you want. It's like finding a study, when you go online, it's like, well, I found a study that says that cheeseburgers are actually good for you. So what does that mean? Like, doesn't mean anything.
I know.
Just like GQuuuuuX.
Yeah. No, and it's very interesting. So I think the main takeaway is, I wonder if every year when we get a series or we get a movie, like, is one made as the commercial and one made as the narrative driver,
Possibly.
Even last year, I would consider Freedom more of the main narrative driver, and then Requiem for Vengeance is more of just the side. Okay, we can get some cool 100%. Figures, use Unreal Engine 5. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of like the way that Guillermo del Toro works. Because Guillermo del Toro, if you follow his like filmography, he always has like one schlocky movie that's like just fun, and then he has one meaningful, like, this is my Oscar bait movie. Dude. And he goes back and forth. It's like, oh, I'm gonna do Hellboy, and then I'm gonna do Pan's Labyrinth, and then I'm gonna do Hellboy 2, and then I'm gonna do
or Blade 2. And then what was it he did right before that? or I might be thinking of Pan's Labyrinth. There's that Spanish film. Is that Pan's Labyrinth? It was like right before that. I don't know. But he's a good example of a director I don't think I talk about enough.
Nobody
he did
talks
Pacific
about him
Rim.
enough. He's great.
Didn't he do Pacific Rim?
I think so.
Yeah, like the first one and not the second or something like that. Yeah, like he's a very because Ron Perlman was in it and he's a Ron Perlman guy.
He is a big Ron Perlman guy.
Like Guillermo del Toro, I think would actually be a good like a Sam Raimi where Marvel he would be able to do a Marvel movie justice, I think, while still being in the lines of Disney.
I think so as well. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to this other thing that you brought up that I think is really fun, and that is we're taking what Steven how he rated these different series, and I'm gonna do mine and I will tweet it. But
sweet
79 thumbs up, Zeta thumbs up, double Zeta thumbs up, CCA is thumbs down.
Wait, did I put thumbs down in there? Or no,
I'm changing it.
Okay.
Yep. Because that's one of those that I've talked about it before. Like, I feel like it's a fun movie. You just put it on, tons of cool action. The only thing it left me thinking, and this is pretty big, was that horrible tragedy that Quest was and what led to her father's death. Like, I feel like that was super strong emotionally.
It's very good, yeah.
But other than that, like even the Hathaway stuff was a little goofy for me, so, but I respect it for storytelling purposes.
And that's one of the fantastic things. I'm going to go to like the Witch from Mercury thing is it's like, you get that homage to Quest in GQuuuuuuX, right? Because GQuuuuuuX has the same thing where he kills his own father inadvertently.
Yeah. And he comes from that family. So he has a certain way he thinks about himself.
And I think that is the perfect way to do an homage. I think when you compare like GQuuuuuuX to G-Witch, the homages that you get from G-Witch are much more subtle and they're much more thematic, whereas the homages that you get in GQuuuuuuX have no theme appropriateness and are just spectacle.
That was really well said. I didn't think about it that way, but that is a really good way to.
I can't believe those words came out of my mouth. Like,
dude.
Bleh.
Who else would have come out of? No. But
who else is willing to be honest?
Yeah. Okay, so 0080 thumbs up, 83 thumbs up, 8 thumbs down. I mean, I love the Easy 8. I love the Ground Gundam. Awesome. But it's almost like I could just watch the intro and I'm like, I got my fill.
You watch the intro and then you watch what is it? Fire on the Mountain, whatever, the Shuddering Mountain. With the goof fight. Like that's like literally anytime you say, hey, I love 8th MS Team, all anyone thinks about is Norris Packard and the goof fight. Like,
yeah,
let's stop pretending that this could be anything longer than just a YouTube video. Just give me a 30-minute YouTube video of the Easy 8 versus the goof and we're done. We don't need all of the other baggage.
Because like even in my strong opinion that the sort of music subplot where they got captured, like to me that was also double Zeta levels of goofy. Like, why is this here?
Well, I love Elidor. I like the Elidor episode because I think that it gives you a unique perspective from soldiers that you typically don't get it from. Like people that are not pilots, that are not like frontline soldiers, and they're being beat up and tortured. And it's like, oh man, this sucks.
That's what they did right in that, I think, is the characters. So the characters in 08 MS Team are cool. The mobile suits are cool, but just what it's doing as a whole, I don't know if it's because it's inconsequential in a way or I don't know what it is, but maybe
like 0080 is kind of inconsequential in a way.
Well, it is, but almost in that sort of terror way, because like they all thought we're going to get nuked. Oh, he has to go out and do like there was almost that dread. Yeah, dread is what I'm talking about. Where
that's a good way of putting it.
Let me go through all this.
Yeah,
I could
please continue.
Okay. 8 Igloo. Yeah. Okay. Wing, I would put down, even though there's things about Wing I think are good, but down. G down. Yeah. X up. Now, F91. That's a thumbs up. Victory is a thumbs up.
Good old Star Wars fan fiction.
Yeah, that's like one of the reasons I like it. Thunderbolt. Is that TB Thunderbolt?
Yeah, Thunderbolt.
Thumbs up. Build.
Okay.
I haven't seen all of Build yet.
And of course, I was unfair because I lumped all of Build together. I didn't consider like Build Fighters, Build Fighter Try, and then Build Divers. Like if
I'm just going to delete that.
Yeah,
just so I'm accurate.
That's fair.
Hathaway thumbs up. Origin thumbs up. Turn A. I haven't finished it. I like what I'm watching so far.
Yes,
but I need to finish it. I mean, really like Turn A is completely different, but it is Tomino. You know what I mean?
It's really good.
Okay, so Seed, yeah, thumbs down. Destiny, up. 00 is an up for me. That I like that a lot. IBO, I haven't finished it yet, although I like it.
Okay.
Which for Mercury, I'm still gonna go down, even though we've been talking positive. Still, I would not watch it again. And then Requiem for Vengeance up, GQuuuuuX down, and what's Doozy?
Doozy Bots, that's more of a joke. That's like the SD Gundam like cartoon that was stateside for a little bit.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm gonna leave that.
It was never officially released. So like, yeah,
that's actually kind of funny. I didn't know that existed. Okay, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do the quote, right? And then yeah. Thank you guys.
My phone's been blowing up with people.
Sweet.
Quoting it, so thank you.
Yeah, that was such a good idea.
See what other people say for sure.
Yeah, no, when you this is good. Oh, is this what you were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen it, it's a gif of Zod.
Yeah.
Saying hearsay, and then that is the sole purpose for which I was born. That really good follow-up. Yeah, that is really cool. So yeah, and I think what's interesting about that is what we were talking about on our show yesterday, where I feel like there's some cool videos we can have, some versus topics in like F91. How I really like it, and for some of the reasons you mentioned, which is interesting, how it's like a Star Wars fanfic in Gundam. But also it would be interesting to kind of talk critically about 08 MS Team, because I do feel like it is a fan favorite. In fact, I appreciate it for what it is, but I do, and it could be that it leans more into anime, whereas Double Zeta is not really an anime.
Yeah, it says so in the credits.
Yeah. So, but and that's something else I've learned too, and I think that's another thing we could talk about when it comes to GQuuuuuX versus Gundam for me, is like the stories, the things that come out of Mobile Suit Gundam, the original 0079, like so much I can connect with, so much, but with GQuuuuuX it doesn't do that, and I think you did a good job explaining.
The most positive thing that I'll say about GQuuuuuX is that it's ambitious. I've seen a lot of people come out in defense of GQuuuuuX, saying like, well, if only it were 24 episodes, if only they had gotten more time to flesh these things out. The thing is like they knew exactly how much time they had. They knew that they were only getting 12 episodes.
They put any. That's why I always hear people say, well, they weren't know where it would go or if people would react. It's like, no, they storyboarded this, completed it, finished it way before, so they don't have to spend money.
As it was in the 80s, where like they didn't, like legitimately they didn't know where they were going to go with 79 Gundam, because it was supposed to go longer and they had to cut it short. With modern anime, you don't have that uncertainty. Like, if you have a story that you're trying to tell, that this is what you're going to do. Even with something like Witch from Mercury, like they knew exactly the beats that they wanted to hit. They told the story in 2 seasons, and if it got renewed for another season, they probably would have come up with some new twist to put on it. They did some open-ended stuff with like Elon having a company and like all that stuff. It's like, but the overarching narrative, the main thing with the main characters, was tied up nicely, neatly at the end.
Yeah, it was. Even
if it was garbage.
Right. Well, so let me ask you this. Let's end on this.
Yeah.
Like, I can say, well, it's cooler that GQuuuuuX then existed than not, but what if that means resources could have been put into something else?
I always think about that, because everything comes with a cost, right?
And then, because we're talking about big corporations here, what if this event, GQuuuuuuX, all the merchandise, was just how am I trying to say this? It was a business plan from the beginning. It's like, okay, we need to make this amount of money. We know if we do these things, we will make this amount of money. That way we can have Hathaway, because I don't think that would.
Man, I'm a very cynical person, and I hate to think that that's how the decision was made. I hate to think that that's how.
Well, me too. But I sometimes, it almost goes back to your Guillermo del Toro thing.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like and sometimes it's like, hey, studio, we'll do this movie if we can do this. So it's like that thing. It's like, okay, let's get a bunch of money and then we can do this other thing. So that could be what the plays are, like doing the Call of Duty on mobile the way they are. Like that's
doing a remake of Seed Battle Destiny instead of doing a whole new original game for the Switch.
Exactly, because I talked about they had to crunch the numbers to do that, knowing it would have been cheap and not having it or whatever, or development from Nintendo, whatever the thing is. So, but all right, guys, I think that's it for this episode. That was a lot of fun, a lot of cool news. I don't even think we really had time to talk about it all, but I tell you, this week was such a badass for Wednesday night, Midnight Hatter, and this show. If you guys hadn't listened to Midnight Hatters yet, do that, because it's like the add-on DLC.
There you go. Yeah.
Actually, this is the DLC because it came out after. But really, you know how companies are.
Yeah,
it was available the whole time.
I'd say my show is more like the pre-release trailer that gets taken down off the PS Store after everybody plays it.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, cool. Yeah, a lot of fun, guys. Have a good weekend. We'll be back next week. I'm sure there's going to be more Gundam stuff to talk about. So until then, have a good one.